has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer and he has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer.
A very good morning to you wherever you are. Thanks for making time. I hope you had a wonderful week. Of course, before I end every show, I always wish you a fruitful week, and I hope you had a fruitful week, and thank God you're still alive. We're grateful to have you watching us on Pan-African television or listening to us on any of our affiliate radio stations across the country. It's a pleasure joining you this morning. Let me say a big thank you to Ahunto 92.3 FM. But we are on Pan-African television, and everyone else is taking the feed from us. We are also live on social media, Facebook, YouTube. You can get to watch us there. The handle is Pan-African Television. Just type Pan-African Television, you will find us. And if you see the comment section, use the opportunity. What do you think about the issues we are discussing? Share it, and I'll read it as we go along in the show. Of course, a couple of issues came up this week. Big issues. The arrest, trial, and in one case, the sentencing of a journalist and critics of the government. Well, yesterday was the turn of Kobna Bobiansa. He is popularly known because of the work he did in starting afternoon local language tree shows in this country. He was arrested because of a story that the police say he published against the first and second ladies. We understand that he was charged with publication of false news. When I heard it for the first time in my life as a journalist, I got scared. Because publication of false news, how do you determine what is false news? Well, that was just one. Mensa Thompson, Alliance for Social Equity and Public Accountability, or Hiniba Boama Beni of Power FM. Earlier, there was Captain Smart. We'll be talking about that, and what that portends for our democracy. And then we'll move on to the discussion over the Moody's ratings. The president was so angry, he ask other African nations to help him take on the might of the rating agencies. There are those who have told him that it is not, the problem is not the ratings agency. The problem is your economy. They just tell you the situation of your economy. We'll talk about that and then talk about the never-ending discussion of the E-levy, because there was a huge demonstration that was led by the Opposition National Democratic Congress with other partners, and the matter of the E-levy cake that turned up at the birthday of the majority leader and leader of government business. So those are the issues we'll be discussing this morning. A big thank you for joining us. Of course, my panel today, Mr. Kwesi Prajina is managing editor of Insight. I'm being told I can't be heard, so
okay. He has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer and he has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer and he has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer and he has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of... Well, thank you very much for sticking and staying with us. I don't know if I have to go over everything I said again, but let me just quickly state that we are discussing this morning
the arrest trial, and in one case, the jailing of critics of the government. One of them, the one was jailed, Ohiniba Buama, who is currently serving 10 days jail term in prison custody. Is a journalist from Power FM. I've also mentioned the name of Mensa Thompson of the Alliance for Social Equity and Public Accountability. I've mentioned the name of Captain Smart, works with the Media General Group. I've also mentioned the name of Kobna Bobiansa, who was granted bail yesterday after he was arrested on Thursday night. He told us that he was not even told why he was arrested during the arresting process. He found out later from his friends who were searching for information as to why he was picked up. Well, his matter is still before court, and so is the matter of Mensa Thompson, the matter of Captain Smart. They are all before court. They are all out on bail. So we'll be discussing that first, and then we'll move on to the issue of the Moody's ratings. Moody's has downgraded us. Fitch did that. S&P actually maintain our rating, but they are also worried about our debt to GDP situation, our debt situation particularly, and they are worried about that. They've cautioned government about how they are handling that issue. Government's proposal to dealing with this issue is the E-levy. The E-levy, there was a demonstration against it this week, and then there's a controversy around the cake, the birthday cake of the majority leader. E-levy was what the cake was made in the word E-levy, and it generated a lot of controversy because initially there was a suggestion that it came from the minority. The minority got angry. Were later told it came from a businessman. So those are the issues we'll be discussing this morning. I was just telling you that I have Mr. Kwesi Prajna, who is General Secretary of the Socialist Movement of Ghana, in the studio with me this morning. I have Honorable Zuwera Ibrahima from Salaga South, Member of Parliament. A big thank you to her for joining us this morning. And of course, very close to me, his name I cannot make a mistake with. And his name is simply Solomon Owusu. Of course, I know a Solomon Owusu, so it's easy to remember his name. He is a member of the communication team of the of the New Patriotic Party. I don't know why I'm sleeping this morning. But we are expecting Mr. Kojo Chumbuafo to join us. He's a former chief executive of the Ghana Free Zones Authority now, when he was chief executive of Ghana Free Zones Board. So that is the panel that I have this morning. And of course, we can start really and start with the issue that has to do with the arrest and trial of critics of the government. And I'll start with Hajia on that issue. Hajia, good morning.
Good morning, Senna, and thank you very much. Good to see you again.
Yeah.
Happy New Year to you.
Many
Uncle,
happy
Happy New
returns.
Year. I haven't seen you this year. And say good morning to all your viewers. And Senna, let me crave your indulgence and use your platform to say good morning to my constituents, who I know are actively monitoring this program. Say good morning to the Pembura and all his elders. Yeah, Senna, your first topic, I think, is the most topical and a very intriguing one indeed. And I use the word intriguing because, Senna, if you cast your mind back, I think we've come more than 40 years since we had the last, and maybe the most defining coup d'etat of this country, where we had an 11-year-old running military regime. Since then, I think we as a nation made a decision to depart from some tendencies that would not augur well for the development of this country. And so all of us agreed, I think in April 1992, we went for the referendum. We decided to do multi-party democracy. We had the Fourth Republic established and inaugurated. And since then, we thought we were on the path to some stability and also some sense of togetherness as a nation. We will have politics. We will do politics. But politics should not tear this country apart. It's also unfortunate, Senna, that at this time in our history, the president that we have, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, in our view, at the time we embarked on this democratic journey, was a hero of democracy. That is how we all perceived him. I mean, I won't go into his then credentials of a human rights activist and all of those things. But I think he did justice to himself when his party formed government from the year 2000, when he became Attorney General of this country in 2001, and worked, I know, closely with a lot of media and communication practitioners to ensure that at least the criminal libel law was repealed from our statute books. The whole of Ghana celebrated and hailed him for that feat. Today, we are beginning to question whether indeed the motive for championing that was noble. And why do I say that? We had a government then of his party that he was not in charge of. He was a minister of state. He used his role, his position as Attorney General to ensure, and indeed he had the support of the then president, President J. Kufuor, to ensure that this law in our statute books was abolished. 12 years, 14 years, 16 years down the line, the same person becomes president of Ghana. And what will be your expectation? That this same individual will work to broaden the frontiers of press freedom, because that is what we've known him for. Suddenly we see a new person in him, and we begin to wonder whether everything that happened before was for real or it was just for political opportunism. All these gentlemen, media people that are being harassed, what is their crime? Free speech. No one will endorse falsehood in as much as the media is supposed to be the fourth estate of the realm. It is not for nothing that the media is the fourth estate of the realm. But that doesn't mean that we will not have individuals operating within the media spectrum who might do things or say things that would go contrary to what all of us think should be. But is the solution to arrest them? When you go into media theory, the theory of media effect, it tells you that we moved from the hypodermic needle position where it was assumed that anything put out in the media is consumed by us literally. We moved to the effects, minimal effects, and that is when we recognize that even between the information and the user, there are some intermediaries that can affect the usage of the media. Now we are in a stage, especially driven by the internet, where the most profound theory in media and communication, uses and gratification. We all choose the media that we think will serve our purpose. We have the capacity to determine what is real, what is true, and what is not. Indeed, people have various echo chambers of the media. You go into the internet, WhatsApp, Instagram, where people situate depending on where information is coming from. They are able to tell whether it is authentic or false. So we, the individuals, we, the audience, have the capacity to determine what is false news and what is authentic news. The state doesn't have that responsibility. The state doesn't make that determination for you and I. You and I make that determination. So if the state decides in the 21st century, today, February 2022, that they've become the policeman for you and I about who is speaking the truth in the media, then clearly there's a problem. It is not enough that someone states a falsehood. With time, people get to know. And that will take me probably outside of when we talk about the E-levy. You remember, when all the developments about the E-levy started, we had our friends on the other side, my opponents in Parliament. You know, when the bill failed, they attributed it to the speaker. Then they said it's a minority. Today, they themselves are telling us where the problem is. They are telling us that they are looking for Adwoa Safo. She's the problem. So there's a way in which you will tell the lie. You know, the falsehood, you state it. Eventually, the truth will come, will catch up. Will catch up with you. So the state doesn't have to be the policeman of the media. And indeed, Senna, in our very recent past, it's just less than 2 years ago, run up to the 2020 elections, I think, Abronya, I'm sure my friend will help me, Abronya DC, right? He's one of your regional, NPP regional chairman in somewhere in the Bono region. Look, he made serious statements about our former president, John Dramani Mahama, who has been president of this country before, and accused him of murder. Nobody arrested Abronya DC. What President Mahama did was to instruct his lawyers to make a report to the CID to investigate the allegations that Abronya DC had made against him. That is what you do in a civil society. In any case, falsehood, as we say, who determines that a matter is false, that what I said is false, until it's traveled through the process? And where does the process start? Does it start with police, what do you call it, arresting people and putting them in handcuffs? That's not where it starts. When somebody defames you, it's a civil case. It's not a criminal case. It behoves on who feels offended to make a complaint to the police. The police picks it up. The police will investigate it. And then whatever the outcome is, we will all deal with it. But when we want to turn this country into a banana state, into a country where the president has sole power to do everything as he pleases. Samira Bawumia ran up to 2016 elections. What didn't she say about then President Mahama? He was a sitting president. The word incompetence became an everyday word on the streets of Ghana thanks to Samira Bawumia. And sometimes I wondered, I used to watch some of her videos and I asked myself, what are elders telling this young lady? This is the president of Ghana. Who measures competence? Today? Can she say same about her husband, who is the chairman of the economic management team, and our country has run aground? Have we heard Samira say that? Did President Mahama send police to go and arrest Samira Mahama because she had described him as incompetent? That is not how you run a country. And that is not how you broaden the space for speech. Look, the government needs the media more than the media needs the government. Because without the media, how is the government going to get to you and I? Today they are going on town hall meetings, supposedly to share with Ghanaians why the need for E-levy. Who is carrying that message for them? Who is carrying that? It's the media. So the government clearly cannot antagonize the media because they made one or two statements that, in your view, are wrong and offensive. Mr. Thompson made a post. He withdrew the post. He apologized. Weeks after, when we think the matter is dead and gone, he's picked up, handcuffed and paraded, just to humiliate him, to show power. The power is not an individual power. It's not an another power. It's the state power. And we, the people of Ghana, made him the president of this country. The least he can do for us is to show us respect and acknowledge that we hold the power. He doesn't hold the power. So to use that power to strangle media men, indeed, in the all fears of this country, everywhere you go, even in Parliament, Our colleagues on there are acting as if it is might. It is not might. You cannot rule this country by might. It never works. So if people feel offended, if the First Lady feels offended, the First Lady makes a complaint to the police. The police, we have the National Media Commission. And yesterday, my honorable colleague, Honorable Suhini, made a very pronounced statement on the floor of Parliament about the NMC's inaction in everything that is happening with regards to the media. What is the NMC saying? Suddenly, where are our chiefs? Where is the Christian Council? Where are all our renowned journalists and media people talking about the Cabral Bliamihes, talk about Jan Appington? Where are they? What are they saying about this development? This is not the Ghana that President John Mahama handed over to Nana Akufo-Addo in January 2017. That wasn't the state of Ghana. And so I think that the president and his government need to sit back and realize that hounding the media is a recipe for, I don't want to say the other things. I think we've heard enough about what is happening around us in the sub-region. No one wants us back there. But what he's doing, these are the ingredients that caused all the upheavals. That we are now sitting in the middle of it as an island, as if Ghana is an island. Look at what is going on around the West African sub-region. Suppressing free press, the hardship, difficulties in the country, you will get the unwanted. So I want to use this platform to let the president and his government know that the media will not have it right all the time. It never happens. Even in the advanced countries, it doesn't happen. The answer to that is not to arrest and harass them. That is not the answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hadia. Hadia starts the conversation for us on the issue of the arrest and trial of some critics of the government. And of course, she was talking about, I'll come there, but let me come to Solomon also, and then I'll read the messages I have before I move to Mr. Kojotombo.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Sana, and good morning to fellow panel members. For me, if anybody's freedom of expression is trampled upon, I detest it. It is for that reason that I am able to come on this show this morning to express myself. So press freedom is fundamental, and anybody that believes in democracy really has to support it. But we have to put the issues in the right perspective. There are several journalists in this country. I'm sure you run into thousands. But we are talking about 3 or 4 cases here. And I'm not too sure we can, as it were, use 4 cases to, as it were, brandish the whole country or government as haunting journalists. If we were indeed going to go into the issue specifically, we would realize that we are actually targeting the wrong institutions. So, for instance, in the case of Mr. Mensah Thompson, what was the issue? He had boldly made a Facebook post and made certain allegations that indeed between the 20th and 30th of December 2021, the president's family, as it were, used the presidential jet to go on a shopping spree in the UK. That was the post. And so the Ghana Armed Forces addressed his mind to the fact that what he has written was wrong, and for that matter, nothing of that sort took place, decided to apologize to the Ghana Armed Forces. But let us also remember that the post was not only targeted at the Ghana Armed Forces. That singular post affected 3 institutions. It affected the integrity of the Ghana Armed Forces, it affected the integrity of the presidency, and it affected the integrity of the family of the president. So indeed, if you were, as it were, magnanimous enough, or as it were, if you have realized your problem or mistake and you are apologizing, then it will only be fair that you apologize to all those that were affected by that your post. Unfortunately, that did not happen. So if you only apologize to the Ghana Armed Forces and I'm also affected by your post, then I have to find a way of clearing my name. I hope you get my point. So if someone who is affected by a false publication takes or makes the effort to clear his name, I do not think that that person is doing anything untoward. In any case, I listened to Haja, and she rightly said that the mere fact that there is freedom of expression, she would not support the fact that anybody will go around publicizing or publishing falsehood about any individual. If we are going to entertain that, then all that we will be doing in this country is that I just get up and I'll go and write on my Facebook or go and sit on radio and say, Senna is an armed robber. And per what Honorable was saying, it is for those who are listening, those that are listening to me, to make a determination as to whether or not you are indeed an armed robber. And that you that have accused you does not have any right, as it were, to clear your name. I don't think that is where, as a country, we want to go. And that people that are accused, that are affected by statements made by individuals, ought to clear their names. You go to the gentleman or any Babuama. He also boldly accuses the president and the judiciary. Well, when all of us have issues, we go there to seek justice. The people that are mandated to do that, just that, were accused that they had connived with the president to change an election petition outcome. There again, guns were not put at him. They took the gentleman to the right institution to go and substantiate his allegation. He couldn't. And the institution that you and I have approved to deal with such matters handed a punishment to that effect. I do not think there is any problem with that. You come to Captain Smart. He is alleged to have extorted monies. That has got nothing to do with the president trying to, as it were, chase a journalist. If you go and have a business encounter with an individual, and for that matter, you are taken on by the individual reports you, it has nothing to do with press freedom. That it means what we are saying is that once you are a journalist and you go on there and speak, whatever you do, you cannot be touched. I don't think that is where the kind of thinking we want to put into the minds of the people of this country. So there again, someone took him home. The matter is in court. He has gotten his bail, and then he has his lawyer to defend him in court. Moby and Sai is alleged to have made certain statements that those that were affected by the statement feels they have been slandered, libelous in nature. So they report the matter. He is invited, allegedly, by the police. He refuses to go or honor the invitation of the police, allegedly. And then the police takes action to get him arrested. If I were the police, I wouldn't have gone the Rambo style anyway. Probably I would have done it in a different way. But to the extent that we have given the power of arrest to the police when you refuse to honor your invitation, when they embark on such an action, I do not think anybody can take them on. He went there, and yesterday, Lord and behold, when he went to court, I listened to his lawyer thanking the judiciary for graciously giving them bail conditions that were so very easy to meet. They have their lawyers to defend them through and through the trial. And the name of the game is evidence. The plaintiff or the complainant has an honest responsibility of, as it were, making a case in court to seek conviction. If they are unable to do so, then the person goes scot-free. So if you put all this in the right perspective, case by case, you would realize that we are rather crying more than bereaved. And that there is nothing much untoward. People have the right, people have not been sent to the kangaroo court to be dealt with, and that they have every right available under the Constitution to defend themselves in the court of law. Again, let us, as people, if we feel that, look, now all of us can say anything, it behoves, and I'm very happy that Honorable is here. They are in Parliament. We can go and amend our Constitution or the laws that governs our lifestyle to say that from today to go, anybody can say whatever. And then all that you that is affected by the said falsehood can do is to pray that those that were communicated to would understand that, oh, indeed, I was lied about. I don't think we can build a country like that. We have shown, we have proven as a new patriotic party, the president. This is his 6th year. And I don't think anybody can say that right from 2007 that he ascended to the throne of the presidency, journalists have been found wanted, or journalists have been haunted. So at least you come here every Saturday morning, Alhaji and Alhaji, with your crew, to come and express yourself. I'm not too sure you have encountered the fury of anybody who thinks you came here to say something, and for that matter, you have to be dealt with. I'm not sure. And on that basis, all of us must acknowledge that indeed the country is making headway. If you cast your mind, but I'm happy Mr. Pratt is sitting down here. He is a veteran. They were the ones that led the crusade to get some of this freedom that we're enjoying here, the press freedom. And I'm not sure Mr. Pratt will say what was happening in the 90s is anywhere comparable to today. And that if we were to put the issues in the right perspective and deal with individuals according to their deeds, you cannot tell me that someone goes and accuse the whole Ghana Armed Forces, that you sat down for a whole presidential jet to be used for shipping, spending spree or shopping spree, and that matter, the person comes back to apologize and say, oh, that is it. You have impugned the integrity of the institution. That the responsibilities that we have given to them, that make sure the presidential jet is used for the purpose for which the state expects it, you have allowed it to be used for a different purpose. And you say, oh, that is it. Where did the man get his information from? What was the motive behind that falsehood publication? What was he trying to achieve? Was it to fuel the perception that the president is a reckless president who allows presidential jets to be used by family members anyhow at our tax expense? That is courting anger at the president. And I don't think you will love that. When someone goes on air and says that someone, the first lady and the second lady are what we call it, fraudulently acquiring properties, allegedly, and there are efforts by those affected to clear their names, I do not think we must classify that one as gagging press freedom. If we were to go on that tangent, what we are going to do is that we will become a nation of falsehood peddlers. Falsehood peddlers. So on that score, I would say that let us allow institutions to operate in this country. And in so doing, if we think there are mishaps here and there in the course of, as it were, engaging on their statutory duties, we can all help them come out of it, rather than, as it were, lambasting all of them, creating the impression that nothing good is happening, when in fact we know it is the opposite that's happening. That's what I would say this morning.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Solomon Owusu. Let me go through a few of your messages before I go to Kojo Chombuafo. This one is coming from Edward Dongote Dongoyo. On this, the issue that we are discussing says, when Akufo-Addo himself continuously in the past insulted late Professor Mills and President Mahama, attacked them over corruption allegations that were never true, was Nonado arrested, power will surely change hands one day, he says. This one, so Gafaru Jantong is also joining us, says, okay, he's watching us live from Jantong. Okay, the rest, if I say it, I'll be in trouble. In the Savannah region. Sana, we the Ghanaians said we don't want E-levy today or tomorrow. Sana, please greet my workaholic MP for Salaga South. May Allah save us from this corrupt mismanagement, misled, and E-levy government. Adam Mohammed says we Ghanaians are not safe under MPP government and President Nana because of the hardship. He sent that from Sunyani Zongo. Ewuntoma Saka Suleimani says is also sending greetings to Hajia. Says God bless you all for the good work. There's Maud Abba Setash who says brilliant submission from the MP from Salaga South. The MPP must and should be ashamed of themselves after deceiving the good people of Ghana into voting for them, only for them to treat us with this kind of disdain and insincerity. Audu Musa says this Nkrumah Ghana has generated something else under this mother serpent of corruption. There's Leviticus Power who is talking about the E-levy. So, okay, he first says, what is the remedy for freedom of insult? E-levy, a domestic revenue generation mechanism, is far better than IMF credit facility and all forms of loans which require repayments, and Ghanaians must support E-levy. Eric Okusapano says, okay, the MPP guy is window dressing the issues of press freedom, gagging by the president. He can't defend the indefensible. Kobla says, Haja, you have spoken well. Our security agents don't have anything to do. They are very bored, but let them know the power will surely change hands. Isaac Alanseke says, you, the media, is fermenting the country, not the government. You, the media, is creating problems for development. Lies all over. Your freedom doesn't permit you to use your big mouth anyhow. Kobla says, Senna, Solomon is really an MPP man. He said he thinks and speaks like one. Okay, that's coming from Kobla. Is it critical? Tatali says, NDC in 8 years collapsed Anglo Gold Ashanti and cocoa processing company in Takrady, which are producing under MPP. NDC without COVID-19 sent Ghana to IMF. Can anyone imagine how Ghana would have been if NDC were in power? Elizabeth Josa says, what is this MPP man saying? Was a journalist not killed when an MPP man said he should be beaten and he was ready to pay for it? Muhammad Bulala Zangiran says, where is the country going with this intolerance system? Mahama stole Ghana's money and built hotels in Dubai without evidence. Yet Mahama never reacted to all those unsubstantiated allegations. He could have called for the arrest of all those behind those lies. Alhaji Paul says, Senna, please, a culture of silence is now ruling us. This government should try and revisit our democratic credentials. We are fed up of this government. Our Ghanaian journalists should speak now or never. He sent that from Akache. There's Eric Kofi Simpini who says too much. Okay, I think it says too much lies in the system these days. Insensitivity to the people and self-aggrandizement all over the place. Honorable is a title for anybody who can speak naked lies and be followed by many because of bread. Conscious Agbemen Wahonso is joining us as I am watching you from Abeka, Buche, La Paz. Please, I want to ask if we have a president in Ghana. Nothing is working. Kwamina acidity for Achiranso says, in fact, freedom of speech under incompetent President Akufo-Addo government is sinking fast. Nothing can save it. JDM, Ghanaian really missed your leadership when it comes to freedom of speech. So those are some of the messages I've just been going through. Keep them coming or keep reading them. I've been informed that we are not live on Ahunto FM this morning. So perhaps that means those of you who like to listen to radio in Accra, we are not live on Ahunto FM. So you can use the Facebook to watch us on Facebook or watch us on TV. The difficulty with the TV is that if you're not home, you can't watch on TV. But if you're moving, YouTube, Facebook are two channels you can use and watch us. Thank you for making time. Mr. Chumbo.
Good morning, Sana, and Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to all of you. And it's a pleasure to meet Haja for the first time. I haven't had the opportunity to meet her and Solo and all your guest listeners. Of course, Happy New Year to my big brother. We speak a lot, so it's not such a novelty this morning. But Solo, I'm very surprised listening to you, and I'm gonna go through some iterations. Please feel free to interrupt me, confirm, deny, if you think what I'm saying is not true. I'm very sure that you were part of the MPP's election campaign in 2016, not so? Okay. Your president, then candidate, went to Nsawam and said that Madam Lordina Mahama is the one who distributes contracts in President Mahama's government. You remember that? Should he have been arrested? No, don't listen. Answer me yes or no. Should he have been arrested? Because I've listened to your submission. And based on what you are saying, then President Mahama should have arrested or ordered the Akufo-Addo's arrest. Because what he said was probably false. No, not taken on. I said arrested. But what is going on here now in this country as we speak? And you made a very passionate defense of maligning and impugning the integrity of a leader's family. And nothing is worse than implying that the president's wife is in charge of distributing contracts. And indeed, let me go one bit further. I challenge Kweku Baku on Good Morning Ghana because Kweku Baku is his favorite Ekubani. And Kweku Baku said on that program that it is something that the president has wanted to apologize for. Indeed, he has made overtures to Madam Lordina Mahama, but Madam Lordina Mahama has rebuffed those overtures. So I'm asking you, should he have been arrested? Because crime has no statutory limit. So maybe if President Mahama comes back to power, hopefully soon, you should go and revisit that issue. Let me go to number 2. Samira Baumia, and I'm quoting her, said, whenever we see you, we see incompetence. Right? And since you have taken us to the threshold of subjectivity, as soon as we NDC wins power and President Mahama is the president, maybe he should summon her. Maybe he should get the police to arrest her Gestapo style, shoot Staffel style, at 11 p.m. on a Friday, so that she can spend the weekend in jail in Nima. Oh, my brother, I am just, you see, what I'm saying is a follow. You see, like somebody say punching number punching to you. Yeah,
we went through the issues.
And I'm also asking you that based on what these people, and these are prominent people, in fact, I mean, one of them is now the president of this republic, and this is what he said. And it is said, and I am quoting Kweku Baku because I was sitting on the program with him, that it is something that the president regrets saying at the time. And I'm saying because some of the things you are discussing are things that people have said and have now said, we are sorry we said it. Especially in the case of Mensa Thomas. So my question to you is, in the future,
no, but
should I'm coming.
So that you can continue. You see,
go ahead. Let him talk. Go ahead.
I'm surprised that you are going.
Okay. Let me finish mine. You see, a couple of years ago, one of your now former ministers allegedly put out an audio impugning the integrity of the Ghana Armed Forces and calling them Ayube bad boys. Was he arrested? You see, what you people are doing, you are heading down a very, very slippery slope. Remember that the one thing that history teaches us is that everything is transient. Everybody will come and go. All the tyrants in our history have come and gone. Genghis Khan, Alexander the Great, Attila the Hun, Napoleon, Franco, Hitler. Where are they all now? Where's everybody? But what happens when the people have had enough of you is what we in this country should be worried about, where we are going. The truth of the matter is that this country has entered an abyss economically. And instead of fixing the economy and at least putting it on a trajectory to recovery, your government is seeking a diversion. Last year, or was it last year or the year before, Abonye accused President Mahama of murder. A report was sent to the CID by by his lawyers and was delivered by the Honorable Kofi Adams. Up to today, nobody has done anything about it. The CID have behaved like they don't know that that report exists. So I'm inviting I'm imploring President Mahama's lawyers on Monday, go and resubmit that letter. And let's see whether our Gestapo police will go and arrest Abronye. Maybe it is missing. The report is missing, just like somebody's autopsy is missing mysteriously. So I'm imploring President Mahama's lawyers, please go and resubmit that petition you made to the CID. Our National Communication Officer, Sami Gemfi, was threatened on air by an MP. Kennedy Japan. He made a report to the police. Up to today, nothing has been done. So we live in a country where there's one law for this government, this cackle of clots running this country, and everybody else, especially if you are deemed to be on the other side. So I could go on and on and on and on. In 2017, somebody threatened me, murder, on Facebook. Murder. He threatened to kill me. I reported the matter to the police. Nothing was done. Nothing. I didn't even get a call back after I went there to write a statement. Nobody even called me back. The person threatened me with murder. He threatened to kill me. After this program, I will show it to you. And in all this, we are all supposed to be citizens of this country. The now president accused President Mahama's government of spending $10 million printing diaries. It was false. You know it was false. We all know it was false. Should he have been arrested? You see, I am looking for guidance going forward. Because one day, Ghanaians will vote you people out. One fine day. We want to know, because sections 207 and 208 have not been expunged from our law. They were there when the now president was making those false accusations. They were there. You remember? Yet it's a council accommodation. Should he have been arrested? Was that true or false? You see, I'm trying to narrow you down to that slippery slope where we are going. Because one fine day, we will get to the point where anybody who goes to say, yet it's a council accommodation, the police will arrest you in the middle of the night and take you to the treasury and say, open the treasury and see whether there's money there. How pathetic. How absurd that a journalist has been arrested because he says that the first lady and the second lady own property. If they don't, hold on, if they don't own that property, why don't they just put out a statement? If I write a statement, I go and sit on a radio program today and I say that Madame Rebecca Kufado is short and dark, wouldn't her office release a statement saying that's not true? Wouldn't they say she's tall and copper colored? Isn't that what they would do? What was the point in arresting Bubi Ansa at 11 p.m. Gestapo style, Banana Republic style, and saying that you invited him, he didn't come. So all the time that you were spending assembling that particular maneuver, that particular operation, could not have been sent to call him. The police could not have gone to his office to see his superiors that we are waiting for him. Couldn't the police even have gone there and waited for him? You know the time he starts the program, and say, you need to go with us. So today the program can't come on. But they had to bundle him into a vehicle like I mean, Jesus Holy Christ. Look, you people are not going to get away with what you have done to this country. No matter how many people you arrest, and if you like, after this program, come and arrest me too. It won't change anything. What Ghanaians asked you for is to do better, because you promised better. Your vice president told us that they had locked up the currency depreciation rate, and they had given it to my cousin Asante Pietu, whom you promptly sacked 3 weeks before his retirement, because you found out that his assistant was Lachinitobu, the man who had the keys to the depreciation rate. You sacked him with 3 weeks. Now you see what's happening. Yeah, 3 weeks to his retirement. He was sacked. He was dismissed. Place it on record. He was sacked 3 weeks to his retirement.
It's not true.
Oh. So after he was sacked 3 weeks to his retirement, you see what has happened to the depreciation rate. Today, the dollar is at 7 cedis. So very soon you will really break the rate. Today, as we speak, this year, as 6 weeks into this year, petrol prices have gone up 5 times. The young people in this country are crying for jobs. They are crying for jobs. When there's a job fair, they go and break down the edifice looking for work. You have just put an end to NAPCO because you can't pay. What Ghanaians are asking you for is, you promised them that you were going to desist from bringing nuisance taxes into their lives. Now you have introduced killer levies like the E-levy. You want to expropriate 1.75% of everybody's bank account. So if we won't give it to you, you will arrest MPs. You will climb. I mean, the police went to climb an MP's wall. Climb an MP's wall. I didn't know that the police had a wall climbing unit to serve him with a criminal summons. Criminal summons for what? Something that the Electoral Commission had already sanctioned. You know what you are introducing into this country is terror by any means necessary. You killed 8 people to win the last election. That was not enough. Up to today, have the police looked into those killings? You are saying Mensa Thompson has brought the Ghana Army into disrepute by publishing something that he has retracted and apologized for. But the soldiers who were sent to shoot and kill people in Techiman South, that doesn't bring the army into disrepute? Really? Really? When we all saw it, after all the killing, the maiming, you are at 137. So now you want to reduce it by any means necessary. So you go and climb James Jackie's wall. And you see, to all the men in uniform who are being used for this purpose, be careful. Let it not be that one day somebody comes to say, oh, we were under orders. Because even the Geneva Convention does not recognize I was under orders. You are now this. So what? You had a choice not to obey those orders. Arresting somebody who has finished the program, going to his family at 11 p.m. after arresting him and doing what they were doing. And I visited Moody in Nima police station. The report was sent to Cantonment's police station. Why was he sent to Nima? Teach him a lesson, to punish him. A man who had done absolutely nothing. You are put in a can with criminals and armed robbers and rapists, and I mean, what the hell is that all about? What is that all about? The things that some of your current ministers have said about Professor Mills. My own friend and brother, John Kuma, and he's a very close friend of mine. What did John Kuma say about Mr. Otuaho and President Mills? I'm even embarrassed to say it. Didn't they go to court? Solo, should he have been arrested? What hasn't Abua Papu, and I won't even mention his real name. What hasn't he said about President Mahama? Has he been arrested? You rather rewarded him and sent him to Canada as PRO. A man who talks the way he talks is a PRO. Doesn't that show the standard of governance that you people have brought onto this country? Doesn't that show how low you are? You people are so low, you can dance the limbo confidently. You can win any limbo competition. Abu Papu is now the PRO for Canada. What hasn't he said? Should I go on? Should I go on? Abonye, what does Abonye not say on a daily basis? You want to talk about contempt of court? When Kennedy Dupont insulted a judge, what happened? We played tango, a dance of tango. Today he's sick. Today he has this. Today he has driba. He has what do you call it? He has mampele. He has nkosa. He cannot come to court. He's doing this and he's doing that. He's doing that. He's doing that. Finally, the judge was changed, and he wasn't even given a slap on the wrist. He was asked to apologize anyway. Couldn't that have been done? Same thing have been done for Onyema Boamamene. Assuming that voice was even his, because it is imagined that the voice was not even his voice. The same, and let me tell you something. The same things that Kennedy Japan went to say, his lawyers went to say that he was ill, that he had green monkey fever, all kinds of things that he had. Onyema Boamamene is not well. He's very unwell. Couldn't that same excuse have been made for him? And at the very least, a slap on his wrist? But what do you people think? And you are using the police to do this? Look, the police service, the people won't tell you. The people, they won't tell you. There will be no new police on the advent of an NDC government. What you have taught them is the same thing they will do to you. So Solo, if we come and sit here in an NDC advent of an NDC government, and you say anything about President Mahama, I'll take my phone and I'll call the same people who are writing the letters. And by the time you finish the program, they'll be waiting for you with the pins go outside. Maybe after this one they'll be waiting for me. But all I'm saying is that what goes around comes around, Solo. We in the NDC made a conscious effort to douse those things. You see, I am not for once saying that some of these things will not happen in isolation. But there is a constant drip, drop that is becoming a bucket full. And it looks like there is an organized effort to silence critical media that are critical of this government. Anybody who is critical of this government right now, I am sure as we speak, there are people watching Alhaji and Alhaji like this, like Yellow City, waiting for Kojotu Mbafo and Haji Azuera to make the wrong move. Maybe they are looking for Haji more than me, because if they get her out, they get 130 something. As for me, they will do me simply because I'm the family member who keeps talking by heart. But me, I don't care. What I'm telling you is that the 30 million people in this country are more important than the 1 or 2 people who are running this country like an Odiko runs a village. As we speak, with all that is going on in this country, where's the president? He's taking his private jet. You should see in his itinerary: France, Guyana, France, Germany, London, France, London, and all back in 10 days. Samuel Kujetu has estimated that it's going to cost us 5 million cedis. 5 million cedis that the nurses who are old haven't been paid. 5 million cedis that the NABCO employees who have been owed money for 4 months haven't been paid. 5 million cedis that the UTAG lecturers who are waiting for their monies to be paid haven't paid. 5 million that the teachers who are owed money are waiting for. 5 million that the COSAG workers who are threatening to go on strike are waiting for. He's gone. And what is he going to do? International conference on something, acclimatization, and never be. And he couldn't do that on Zoom. Do you remember that a year ago, even the UN conference was held on Zoom? You remember that? And after all that, you want us to pay you another 7 billion so that you can go and collateralize it on the backs of my children and my grandchildren, so that your finance minister, who happens to be your first cousin, and can collect that money and get commissions on it to their companies. Then they use the money to go and do prestigious real estate projects all over Accra. Right? And we are supposed to allow you to do that. At the height of this brouhaha on E-levy, the president boarded his plane again and went to Atlanta. If you remember, he spent $73,000 on a hotel room for 3 days. Am I lying? He said $73,000. He and his 25-man entourage went to the best hotel in Atlanta, the Four Seasons, rented the presidential suite for $73,000 for 3 days. Whilst we are suffering in this country. When you live here today, by the time you get to your house, how many potholes would you have fallen into? Your children, if they are in free education, they're free SHS, they go to school for 3 weeks and then they come home for 3 months. So in a year, in one calendar term, the children go to school for 9 weeks and then they spend 9 months at home. You see, there is something seriously wrong with these people, you and your people. The things that you accused the NDC government of. You said we are going to borrow 89 billion. How much have you borrowed? And in your case, you make money off the money that you sell us. So as we speak today, we are defaulting on loans and paying penalties on the default. We are extending 10 years of bond because we don't have the money to pay. And this is something that's a problem for all of us, not just me. NDC, MPP, it is for all of us. Because one fine day, when our creditors say they have had enough of us, this country will grind to a halt. Have you noticed that quietly all the shelves in the supermarkets are emptying Have you noticed that there are only shoe brushes and toothpaste left on the shelves? Have you noticed that is happening? You see, these people who are running this country need to get serious. What is happening, like Hajia alluded to, in our sub-region, it didn't just start. And in Tree, we have a saying, say, so our young body is here. No offense, it's video. And in taking water and putting it by your own beard to make sure it doesn't burn, it doesn't mean go and arrest people as if we are in a Nazi state. It means adopt prudent economic politics that will put us back on the straight and narrow. It means that check the people within your ranks that are causing the problem. The president and his finance minister have both told us that this country is in trouble. In every prudently managed economy, this is the time when you replace some of the people who are managing the economy to give us that confidence. So if the president got up and said tomorrow that my finance minister and his deputies have all resigned, as for John Kuma, they should leave him there. He just came. I'm appointing Solomon Owusu as my finance minister, and I don't mean to get you in trouble. I'm appointing Solomon Owusu to become the finance minister. Wouldn't the markets be more confident? Wouldn't Ghanaians be confident to see that the president is doing something? But he won't do that, because he's part of the clan. And then his other first cousin, the Rose minister. People don't want you to say that he's his first cousin. He's his first cousin. His father is Madam Madeleine Kufado's brother. That is why he can afford to tell us that he will turn two boots into toilets. So, when I am behind, I am 10 in line behind a few beautiful ladies in tight jeans, and they all need to use the bathroom. When will I get to my destination? When will I get to my destination? When? You see, you people are not serious. You think governance is about being instituting fascism, sense of belonging. We own this country, so we do what we like. Go to hell if you don't like what we are doing. You are either with us or we mess you up. And that is how you choose to govern. But let me assure you that the day will come when you will no more be there. And the things you are doing will be visited upon you in inordinate numbers, in exponentials. Don't make any mistake about that. I know you people think that this is for the woman, but let me tell you something. President Mills and President Mahama had a policy, quiet and spoken, that they were not going to victimize people. Do you honestly think that if NDC wins election in the upcoming, do you think that President Mahama can call people together and tell him, let's not victimize them? You think? Really? Me, I was sent to Ioku. I went there 33 times. For 2.5 years they investigated me. Thanks to some professional people. Right? The things that they wanted to foster on me, some things that they wanted to lamp on me, whether I liked it or not, didn't happen. That is why I'm cautioning you that the police will not change. The police authority, it won't change. The structure of the force won't change. The things you are doing today will be visited upon you the same standard. And you see, given the standard that you set when you came into office in 2017, how many of you will pass that test? How many of you will pass that test? If an auditor, NDC, comes to government today and they force an audit on the COVID accounts, how many of you will be left standing? How many of you? A couple of days ago, I heard one of your commentators saying that, oh, they got 50,000 cedis to resuscitate their business. How many non-MPP activists got money to resuscitate their business? 25.6 billion cedis. You get up to say you won't go to IMF. When IMF was giving you 2 billion cedis, did you refuse it? Solo, you people should be very careful. Where you are heading, I'll give you a biblical quote. Where you are heading is holy ground. Be careful.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Before I come to Mr. Pratt, a couple of messages. Ew Farouk in Tamale says a good morning to you, Senator, in the able panel. Why are we now living in a culture of silence? The freedom of speech on journalists under this Nanado MPP government worries. Nalamli or Datilamte says, was Owusu there when Kennedy Japan threatened JDM to burn his house? Majua Asabia is also asking, what about Kennedy, Wuntumi, and others? There's Musa Abatwa who is saying, Sana, let's be frank to ourselves. If a mere Facebook post and journalists criticizing government can warrant arrest, then democracy and free speech are no longer practiced in Ghana. The 1992 Constitution declares in no equivocal terms that all persons shall have the right to freedom of speech and expression, which shall include freedom of the press and other media. So why must this fundamental right be thrown to the dogs by a president who is a lawyer and should know better? Baba Musa sent this. He says that there's a new animal in town. It's called publication of fake news. No, it's publication of false news. Section 2081. I'll never forget that. Act 29. It says if you're a journalist or social media person, you must be concerned or worried. I've seen media folks and communicators aligned to the ruling MPP jubilating and throwing tantrums. Well, they should continue. Political power is never endless or a permanent thing in the first place. One day, the table will definitely turn, inshallah, and that animal will have become fully grown, meaty, and fatty. We pray for long life and good health. That's coming from Baba Musa. When Haja was speaking, Haja was talking about renowned journalists not speaking. Fortunately for us, I present to Mr. Pratt. Yes.
Well, you know, ignorant people often live in bliss. Because their ignorance blinds them. It doesn't enable them to see danger even when danger is present. And that is why they live in bliss. You know, the bliss they live in is most dangerous even to themselves. Now, anybody with a passing knowledge of history would understand that nobody, no institution, however strong, has managed to gag a people. Hitler could not gag the people forever. Mussolini could not gag the people forever. Jean Bedel Bokassa could not gag the people forever. Mobutu Sese Seko could not gag the people forever. Gagging the people is a very expensive enterprise. And all those throughout history who have tried to gag the people have ended up in extremely miserable conditions. So those who seek to gag the people must look back into history, and they will see their future in history. You see, Senna, I had a friend, a comrade Comrade Kwame Wiafe, who used to be the national chairman of the PPDD. And one day we were having a conversation, and he said, look, when the colonialists arrived, the building of the fortress, the castles which protected them from the wrath of the people, those castles which became their protection as they continue to exploit, to thieve our resources and so on. When those castles were being built, it started with just putting one block down. And so at the time the first block was put down, we could probably have kicked it just like that. But we waited. There was one block after another, one block after another, until they became those fortresses, impenetrable fortresses and so on. This also goes for tyranny. Tyranny, authoritarianism, all of that, they begin with just one block. And if you sit back and allow block upon block to be piled, they may soon become fortresses. And to be able to undo them, we may need cannons, maybe ammonia nitride, to be able to overcome them. You know, it is not a secret that I know Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo sufficiently well. It is not a secret. Everybody knows that. And one of the things that I remember clearly about Nana Akufo-Addo was his strident advocacy that speech should not be criminalized. What does that mean? When we say that we should not criminalize speech, what do we mean? It means that nobody should be charged with a criminal offense for speech. And of course, I hope you do know that speech includes what we write, not just what we say. You can expand the definition of speech to include what we write. Now, this was Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, that we should not criminalize speech. Now, how come that today we are busy criminalizing speech? What has changed? You know, I've been around for quite some time. And I'm happy that I've been around for quite some time. Nana Kunedu Ajiman Rawlings. What was not said about her? I'm sure you all remember. Of course, at a certain point, they behave the same way the current government is behaving. And they suffered the consequences. You see, I can remember very clearly the trial and conviction of Ambassador Haruna Atta and Mr. Malik Kwaku. What happened? Same situation. They were accused of publishing falsehood about Nana Kunedu Ajiman Rawlings. And they ended up in prison. Indeed, when they were convicted, I remember myself, Kabra Amihi, and others took up the responsibility of keeping the Crusading Guide alive. So we were editing the Crusading Guide in turns. I visited them in the Winneba prisons and so on. And I remember the statements which were made by people like His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo simply said that indeed jailing Haruna Atta and Malik Kwaku amounted to the criminalization of speech. That was Nana Akufo-Addo. today, somehow, Nana Akufo-Addo Rawlings is not the first lady. Today, somehow, it is Rebecca Akufo-Addo who is the first lady. And what happened to Koku Bakum and Haruna Atta is happening to other journalists. I'm waiting to hear what Nana Akufo-Addo will say. I want to hope that principles don't change simply because those principles now apply to your wife. And I'm hoping that something would manifest to show that principles remain the same, whether it is your wife or Jerry Rawlings' wife. That's what I'm hoping for. You know, Senna, we fought against the criminal libel law. Host of people in this country. Indeed, sometimes, when the credit is given to the MPP, I get angry. You know why? Because I recall that I hope that people like Akoto Ampao, Professor Kwame Kakari and others are listening. Because I remember that when we raised issues with the criminal libel law, you know, in fact, a group was formed which included Dr. Yao Graham and others. President Kufuor was not very happy with us at that time. President Kufuor's position was that if you go about foolishly publishing falsehood about leaders and so on, there should be some remedy, there should be some punishment and so on. That was his original position. In fact, President Kufuor later became a convert. His original position was to oppose the fight against the repeal of the criminal libel law. And I remember this very clearly. And all those who were involved in that fight are still alive. Professor Kwame Kakari is alive, Akoto Ampao is alive, Yao Graham is alive. All of them are alive. You understand? But you see, what was the principle in fighting against the criminal libel law? The cardinal principle was that no speech should be criminalized. And that if falsehood is published against people, whether they are heads of states, or first ladies, or second ladies, or third ladies, you understand? They should have recourse to civil proceedings. They should have recourse to civil proceedings. If somebody publishes something about you which is not true, first and foremost, you want to redeem your image. You don't want your image to be shattered by lies and so on. You want to redeem your image. Secondly, you want the truth to be established. In fact, it is in the process of establishing the truth that your image is redeemed. And then, thirdly, some people would want compensation for damage done in the process of damage done in the process of the publication and so on. You understand? Now, if you go into the 1992 Constitution, the drafters of the 1992 Constitution were mindful of the fact that criminal prosecution of journalists could have an adverse effect on the exercise of press freedom. The drafters of the 1992 Constitution were very clear that even civil procedure, not criminal prosecution, civil procedure could have damaging consequences for free expression. That is why the drafters of the 1992 Constitution created the platform for arbitration which did not even involve civil procedure. The complaints and settlement responsibility of the Media Commission was meant to ensure that the use of even civil procedure was limited. So if the drafters of our Constitution were careful enough to limit damage which will be done by civil procedure, how on earth can we justify the use of criminal procedure in instances such as we are saying? 1992 Constitution, go and read it. And then they made provision for publication of rejoinder as an option and so on. Because they were intent on limiting the impact on free expression, even of civil procedure. So I am totally shocked that anybody would have the guts to look us in the face and justify what is happening today. Look, my brother and friend Chumbuafo has done an excellent job, and I don't intend to repeat that. But if we were to apply the same principles which are being applied today, if we were to apply those same principles, how many people in government today will be in jail? How many? You know, when we formed the Committee for Joint Action, and the Committee for Joint Action had personalities like Alhaji Ramadan, who is the father of Samira Bawumia. He was part of the Committee for Joint Action. You have people like Mr. Atua Hoy. You understand? Tritrio Poku, many others. We're all in the Committee for Joint Action. The current first Deputy Speaker of Parliament went to Parliament, made false statements against us, intended to portray us as rabble-rousers, people who wanted to destabilize this country and so on. We wrote a letter to the Speaker for Joyce to retract and apologize, or be put before the Privileges Committee to justify the statement. We didn't even get a reply. There was no reply. No reply. If we were to use the principles which are being used today, he should be in prison. Why? Have you forgotten? 2016. I hope you haven't forgotten. MPP leaders mounted platforms and accused Lordina Mahama of being behind DKM. Have you forgotten? Was that true? Was that true? Was Lordina Mahama behind DKM? And if she was behind DKM, they have been in power for 5 years now. What have they done to Lordina Mahama? What have they done to Lordina Mahama? So if we are to use the same principles which are being used today, how many of the MPP leaders would have been in prison? How many of them would be in prison? Master, have you forgotten? Leaders of the New Patriotic Party who publicly stated that President John Dramani Mahama had bought hotels in Dubai. Have you forgotten? If we are to apply the same principles today, how many of the communicators of the MPP would have been in prison? How many of them would have been in prison? All those who made the allegation that President John Dramani Mahama had bought hotels in Dubai should have been in prison. Have you forgotten the allegations which were made against Ibrahim Mahama? Have you forgotten? How many people went to prison because of those allegations? Indeed, what Ibrahim Mahama did was to apply civil procedure. He filed suits for libel, and the courts upheld his claims, which proves that the allegations were false. How many people went to jail? Sana, I'm sure all of you will remember. At a certain time, over a period of about 1 year, the allegation that I was collecting petrol, my petrol supply from the castle, was repeated almost every week. Every week. It was published that I was receiving my petrol supply from the castle. This was the first year of the Mills administration. Senator, I haven't taken a teaspoonful of petrol from the castle. Now they are in charge. The records are before them. Did I ever take a teaspoonful of petrol from the castle? So some people should have gone to jail. Some of your leading communicators should be in jail. But they are not in jail. Nobody even reported to the police. And they went wild with all kinds of allegations. It gets even worse. My brother, they actually went a step higher and accused former President John Dramani Mahama of murder, of murdering President Mills. Have you forgotten? Who went to jail? Who went to jail? It is not about owning property. It is not about acquiring government property for building a foundation. This allegation is about murder. Who went to jail? Who went to jail? I can't believe what is happening. You see, there are some questions which need to be asked. Important questions. I don't know if you guys have noticed that for most of these cases, they end up in a court incarnation. That's an important matter for me. How come? I do not want to say all. I do not want to say all because I'm not so sure yet. But somebody should do a check on how many of these cases have ended up in a particular court incarnation. Is there something very special about this court? I don't know. If you are arrested in Teshinungwa, Kaneshi. If you are arrested in Medina, Kaneshi. If you are arrested in Laboni, Kaneshi. Why? There must be something that I'm not able to understand. Maybe I'm too daft to understand. But somebody must be asking this question. How come that most of these cases are ending up in a Kaneshi court? I don't know. Maybe we'll find out one day. I don't know. But it is interesting. Really interesting. Now, the other thing that I want to understand, why do you always arrest the people close to the close of working hours or after working hours so that they will spend at least the night in police cells? Why? What is the rationale? What is the rationale? You mean you want to arrest Bobi Ansa, and the only time you can arrest Bobi Ansa is 11 p.m.? Something must be very strange about these things. Something doesn't add up. There is something which is very, very strange about these arrests. Now, you know, since the new Inspector General of Police was appointed, the police has been on a jolly ride. Many people have seen the police and its actions and so on, have said, the police is being reformed. We have a new police service. This is a police institution which is acting on the basis of law and so on. My brother, I'm afraid that what is happening is becoming a huge dent on the credibility of the police under IGP Dampare. Because the unfairness of these arrests, the double standards are so glaring and open. So all the good work that IGP Dampare has done over the years is being sacrificed on the altar of exceedingly cheap politics. That is what is happening. Because how can anybody justify these arrests when what these persons have done pales into insignificance compared to others? You know, there have been cases of leading members of the New Patriotic Party threatening others with death, threatening people with death. I will kill you. Nothing happens to them. There have even been cases where judges, not me, not politicians, where judges have been insulted and threatened, and nothing has happened. No arrest has been effected. So I'm sitting back and wondering what is happening. Is this the police and the IGP Dampari? Is this the police and the IGP Dampari? Is this the police that only a few weeks ago gave us so much hope? Is this that police institution? I can't believe what is happening. Can't believe it. Look, an Inspector General of Police, not me, not you, Inspector General of Police, Apietu, I think that's his name, Apietu, Asante Apietu, is accused of being in cahoots with criminals, criminal gangs, armed robbers, that he, Inspector General of Police, is facilitating armed robbery. No arrest was made. He applied, he went to court, civil action, to get his image repaired and so on. He is sued. The judge in open court says that, hey, why do you bring this case before me? The people involved, they are no small people at all. Apietu quickly withdraws the case from court. Apietu, IGP. Police didn't effect any arrest at all. So Apietu is living with his humiliation. He will never have remedy. And we are sitting here talking about what? Talking about principles of law? Principles of law? When judges sit in court and say, hey, as for this case, don't go there. The people who brought the case, they are powerful people. Powerful people in the face of the law. So look, let's stop this childish, maybe infantile justifications of what is happening today. Because what is happening today is frightening in the extreme. We have seen it before. We have seen it before. What we are seeing today, we saw it before. We saw it in the conviction of Kwaku Baku and Harun Atta. And those who justify what is happening today might as well justify the conviction of Kwaku Baku and Harun Atta. Because what principle are they establishing? What principle are they establishing? I am shocked at what is happening today. But you see, this is not the only thing which is happening today. So many things are happening. And the cumulative effect is what is frightening us. Ahmed Swali, our colleague, shot by two persons on a motorbike. Shot him, they shot him, they killed him. What has happened? Police, they haven't effected any arrest. Matter is dead. Ahmed Swali was shot. Why do you think that Ahmed Swali was shot? Me. I am actually on Metro TV doing analysis as I'm doing now. As soon as I come off the set, somebody who says that he's a lecturer in the university calls me and says, I'm going to kill you. This is public knowledge. What happened? Of course, I didn't report to the police. Because I know other cases that were reported to the police that nothing happened. So I didn't waste my time reporting to the police. In any case, the case involving Rebecca Akufo-Addo and Samira Bawumia was a complaint made to the police. I don't know. And if a complaint was made to the police, who made the complaint to the police? You know, this is Ghana. I saw in 2000 an election which changed government. In 2016, in 2008, I saw an election again which changed government. In 2016, I saw an election again which changed government. So again, if we refer to history, we will learn the important lesson that nobody stays in power forever. And if we learn that lesson that nobody stays in power forever, those in power today may want to set precedents which others may be compelled to follow. And if the precedent they set is that if you criticize First Lady, you go to jail, hallelujah, let us welcome it. Hallelujah. If the precedent they set today is that if you say the second lady owns public land, you go to jail, hallelujah, let us accept it. If this is the precedent they want to set, oh my goodness, let us embrace it. The only problem is that if we embrace these, we would not be able to build a free society of free citizens who can actively participate in discussions which shape their destiny. If we embrace this, we will probably be building a kingdom. Not a republican state. We're building a kingdom in which the principle of the divine rule of kings will be re-established. And I don't want to live in any kingdom. And I don't believe in the principle of the divine rule of kings. Let us be very careful about what we are doing. Let us be very careful. Look, only last week, I read a newspaper report of a journalist who had been beaten to pulp for taking a photograph of wrongdoing. And Kodo, when I saw the photograph of the journalist, his face, I nearly cried. He had been beaten so badly that his face looked like an empty milk can which had been run over by an articulator. Up to today, there has been no arrest. The beating took place in a police station. No arrest. The beating took place in a police station. There was no arrest. But what betides you? Go and say something about Rebecca Akufo-Addo, and they will change your sleeping place. What betides you? Go and say something about Samira Bawumia, who was mounting the podium from town to town, insulting former President John Dramani Mahama and the wife. She was not a candidate. She was not a political player. Her only ticket to heaven was that of all the women in Ghana, His Excellency Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia decided that that was the one he wanted in addition to somebody else that I'm told of. So, she has a right. She has a right to go around damning people, making allegations, laughing at people and so on. And Bobby Ansah has no right. Bobby Ansah has no right. Journalists have no right to take photographs of wrongdoing. But you see, this is not all of it. This is not all of it. You remember the case of Manasseh Azure? You remember? Manasseh Azure, according to the reports we had to be spirited out of this country to South Africa because his life was in danger. How can we tolerate this? How can anybody tolerate this? Whether you are an MPP member or an NDC member or a CPP member, how can you tolerate this? How can you, in good conscience, justify this? This level of anarchy, this level of naked stupidity. Naked stupidity. How can you justify it? How can you justify it? We are told, for example, that Bobby Ansah had refused many sermons to go to the police station. Let us agree. Let us say that it is true. Bobby Ansah is hiding. A man who every day is on radio. And you know the studio where he's talking from. Every day he's on radio. What is this? What is this? What is this? You know, and we are living in a country in which brown khaki wearing people, you know the significance of brown khaki. Check the history of fascists and the uniforms they gave to their tonton makuts. Brown khaki. Brown khaki wearing people, people in mask and so on. Go to Ayawasu West Wagbon, open fire, break legs. I had the opportunity of meeting with some of the victims only last week. Master, some of them since then have not been able to walk. They've been destroyed for life. The people who did that shooting, those shootings, are free men. Alright? They are free men. And somebody who only opened his mouth, no gun, no knife, no stick, just to say that Rebecca Kufuado and Samira Bawumia own properties which may not have been acquired properly. They were arrested promptly. The police could mobilize vehicles and weapons to arrest them. But the police could not mobilize weapons and vehicles to arrest people who were killing, who were actually aiming to kill. What logic is this? What logic is this? What logic is this? Look, Ghana belongs to all of us. Whether you are an MPP person, NDC person, CPP person or PNC person, you have a stake in Ghana. And that stake needs to be manifest even in the application of the law. Nobody is above Ghana. Former President John Dramani Mahama can never be bigger than Ghana. Current President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo can never be bigger than Ghana. And if the two of them can never be bigger than Ghana, what about Lordina Mahama and Rebecca Akufo-Addo? What about them? Let us be careful. When we get to the point where people come to the conclusion that their problems cannot be resolved peacefully, what do you think would happen? You know, this statement has been made by many people throughout our history. Mandela made the same statement. All kinds of people made the same statement. In fact, this was the favorite quotation of Flight Lieutenant Jerry Rawlings. And don't forget that the current president says that his inspiration has been Flight Lieutenant Rawlings. The current president has said publicly that his inspiration is Flight Lieutenant Rawlings, so maybe you should be listening to him. And it was Flight Lieutenant Rawlings who said that those who make peaceful revolutions impossible invite violent revolutions. They embrace violent revolutions. They kiss violent revolution on both sides of the cheek. Those who make peaceful revolutions impossible, they invite, they embrace violent revolutions. So maybe that should be part of the inspiration that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo got from Flight Lieutenant Rawlings. In any case, sometimes when I sit back and watch, I think that Nana Akufo-Addo told us the truth. When he claimed that he had been inspired by Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings, the inspiration is there. It's obvious. What happened to Kwaku Baako and Haruna Atta under Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings is happening to Bobie Ansah and Nana Akufo-Addo. I finished my case.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Pratt. And I think it was somewhere, was it yesterday when I saw a post by a journalist who was talking about the fact that we have a right to do our duty doesn't mean that we should be irresponsible. I was a little shocked and surprised because that person has never been a journalist before. He did not understand. Majority of the things we write, if you call journalists to come and substantiate, you will struggle. Because a lot of them are from sources.
Sana, don't go there. Yeah. Don't go there. Are journalists the only irresponsible people in the world? We should avoid irresponsibility by any chance. Don't doctors carry out surgical operations without following procedure leading to death of people all the time? Don't policemen make mistakes and shoot and kill all the time? Don't soldiers make mistakes and kill all the time? Politicians, don't they make mistakes which lead to a wreckage of the entire national economy? Who doesn't make mistakes? Who is 100% responsible? All the professions. Those who talk like that, pity them. If I were a Christian, I would pray for them.
Thank you. Well, a couple of messages. This one is from Julius Agahua and Tahiro, who says, and according to the statement, Ghana police, Bobie Ansah was arrested because he put out information about Rebecca Akufo-Addo that she allegedly bought some state lands at AU Village near airport area in Accra. Akufo-Addo in 2015 lied that Mahama government spent $10 million to print presidential diaries. He was never arrested for making such a false statement. Maybe future NDC government must prosecute him and all those who peddle falsehood against Mahama and Mrs. Lordina Mahama, because they also have blood in their veins and were born by humans. Lagbaja says Ghana is bleeding under Nana Addo and MPP government. Mr. Senator, do you remember the famous DKM hotel in Dubai and many more? But every day I get happy. Nana Addo and MPP are destroying their own MPP party by the day. They will leave power and they try selling MPP and Nana Addo 1 CD on Donkome. Nobody will buy it or buy them. Long live NDC. That's coming from Lagbaja. Well, this one is from Dennis Akwete, who says, I have always believed morally that freedom of speech presupposes responsibility without even thinking about what the law might have posited on same. But it is becoming obvious as it appears coercive powers of state are armed to cripple free speech in recent time, and therefore making nonsense defamation remedies in law of tort relative to civil wrongs. On the E-levy and its accompanying cake, it is obvious that some of our politicians indeed believe that the partisan Ghanaians are so ignorant and poor and will continue to defend their bad policies even with their lives. But you see, when moral society fails its moral duty, this is the kind of things you would see. That is coming from Dennis Akwete. Michael Inongwa says, I will say that again. Okay, so this is what E. Nana Addo said. Quote, I will say that again. I much prefer the noisy, boisterous, sometimes scurrilous media of today to the monotonous, praise-singing, sycophantic one of yesteryear. Some of us in the media, we don't fear and we will stand to the truth. Who killed Ahmed Swale? Time will tell one day. Michael sent that from Nogwa. Habib Mantu sends this from Italy. Says Ghana has turned into a banana republic. Are we back to the era of cultural silence under the so-called human rights lawyer president? Ahmed Swale was killed in cold blood. Up till now, nothing. No freedom of speech. we can't even talk in our own country. We are suppressed and oppressed. Ekufuado is using communist inferior taxes. We are not cows. We shall speak truth to power and demand a better Ghana. Margot, okay. Margot sends, it says, my regards to the wonderful Haja and my dear friend Kojo, and please tell Uncle Kwesi that we are grateful for what he's doing. They say you are doing the Lord's work. Well, let me read a few more of the messages that are being sent. The fine here says, and the former Malian president, Boubacar Keita, used to arrest people who demonstrate or criticize him. So now what happened to him? So now Rock Christian Kabore also arrested those who demonstrated and criticized him too. Where is he now? Well, I don't want what happened to those people to happen here, because the worst form of democracy is better than military dictatorship. That's Tafa in Amahia who sent that one. There are a few more messages. This is from Sedemiho Sana. Dr. Nyaho Tamakulu said in 2016, and I quote, Ghanaians will learn a bitter lesson of leadership if Akufo-Addo wins. And he continues and says, we defied this warning as Ghanaians and voted for him and the MPP. The realities have caught up with us. Pathetic. That said them who sent that all the way from who Idi Gideon Mutaro sent the very first message this morning. There's my regards to your panelists. At present, what is happening in Ghana must be of great concern to all and sundry. Democracy will always be better than autocracy. We must all embrace the democracy with sincerity and with utmost respect. As it stands now, regards to these unnecessary and unwarranted arrests of media personalities with charges one can't imagine. I hope there are two different charges, if I am correct. Civil charges and criminal charges thereof. And this must be made clear. If you are correct in your actions, why fear? If you are not doing what is unexpected, then you must be worried. Government should rise up and do the needful by listening to the plight of ordinary citizens and to appreciate the fact that power belongs to the people. The dragging and hustle by leaders needs to stop. Mr. Government, talk to us and stop talking at us. That is Idi Gideon who said that. Let me end with Peter Bamfo, who says, this the Vice President also published on Truth about Ghana card being e-passport. Shouldn't he also be given a damper invitation? I don't know whether that is an untruth. Well, we'll move on to the next discussion. And the next discussion has to do with, okay, I can see a copy of an insight on the table. It says Ghana's economy on verge of collapse. Professor Bokwin warns over rising debts. And he has said some very strong things. He's even called the government an irresponsible child. You don't give them more. They need discipline. Government says they want more, 7 billion from E-levy. Moody says your economy is not looking good. S&P, your debt is not looking good. We'll put that together with the matter of the E-levy cake and the demonstration, because we already have an hour to go. And so I'll start from where I started from Haja again on this issue. Haja.
Yeah, thank you, Senna. And thank you for the opportunity. Moody's, Fitch, S&P, everybody, as at yesterday, Standard Bank also joined the fray and described Ghana as one of the ailing economies amongst 4 others in Africa. But what have we done with all these sentiments that have been expressed by otherwise renowned institutions and individuals like Professor Bumpkin that you mentioned? What has been our reaction? Remember, Senna, that all these publications came after the finance minister himself, the guy in charge of the exchequer, the one individual in this country who is supposed to be on top of whether Ghana's economy is good or bad, himself said that we were in hard times, that the economy had collapsed, and so he needed E-levy to resuscitate the economy. The president himself made same statements. Then came Moody, ratings, Fitch, and then suddenly we have a crybaby on our hands. This government, pampered as they are, They don't want to be criticized. No one must say that. So what was the basis of the finance minister telling us that the economy was sick? Was it just so we will sympathize with him and pass E-levy? He didn't mean it. What did Moody say wrong? What did Moody say differently from what him and his employer, the president, said? They didn't say anything differently. They gave us the outlook of our economy. Where we are sitting is what they talked about. And they said the outlook is not good. Our debt situation is not sustainable. Now we are not even able to pay our debts and the interest. We are asking for extensions. Clearly, we are not attractive on any market anywhere. We live in a country where government says we cannot question its expenditure. The money that you and I pay at the end of the month as taxes, government say don't ask us. Don't ask us. And so now, I followed a very interesting discussion on Joy FM about a week or two ago when the unfortunate accident happened in Apieti in Western region. And government said it's setting up a relief fund. Ordinary, everyday Ghanaians, Senna, phoned into the program. And the sentiments they expressed in totality was, when we gave you COVID money, have you accounted for that? Why must we come and put our money in our Piety fund so that tomorrow we cannot ask you to account? That is the level that Ghana has reached. If this government thinks that we just sit in this country and they'll feed us what they want, they're making a mistake. Ghanaians have become very sophisticated. We are very discerning. We are able to read between the lines. Indeed, even if we are not able to do that, our dining tables at home are telling the story. At home, they are telling the story of the state of Ghana. So this government cannot, they can get away with manipulating state institutions in this country. They cannot manipulate Moody. They cannot go and issue a press statement challenging Moody. The president says he's angry, calling on other African countries to. Moody is not Ghana police. It's not the NMC. You cannot do as you please with it. This government must learn that they are a government. They are not some, dadaba, kwala obi anko masem, maybe the sana ni subanti and kanasem. No, this is Ghana, and Ghanaians gave you the mandate, and you have to account to the people. So the outlook is terrible. But how did we get there? Who sent us there? What did we do as Ghanaians to contribute to that? Senna, do you know that most Ghanaians, that to quote the finance minister himself, over the 600,000 Ghanaians on government payroll, most of their pay taxes that are withheld at the end of the month don't get paid to GRE. They just pay you your net and you go home. It is on the pay slip, it's deducted. How did we get there? How did we get to the point where the same government that was lauding itself for being attractive on the world market, going and borrowing left, right, center, now no one wants to touch you? You think those people don't watch what is going on here? You think they are not interested in what you do with what they give you? And they've seen your economy collapse and you can't go back and you are blaming Moody? Moody is not the finance minister of this country. In fact, the worst thing I heard, Senna, was the finance minister actually calling out an officer of Moody who he claims he knows, and that she doesn't even know Ghana. She's only there, she doesn't understand what it is. Must she know Ghana to understand what is going on? So it tells you of a certain desperate attempt. In all this, the government will not come in humility back to the people of Ghana and tell us that maybe we made mistakes. Mistakes were made, otherwise we will not be here. And that is why The government will not account for the president's travels. When you go and ask, they tell you it's a national security issue. You and I pay, and yet we are not supposed to know how much the president used on his trips. You will not account to us COVID money, and you tell us that the woman even, she's nobody. That is your defense. Unless Ken Oforiatta thinks that we are all some dumb people that were collected and put in this country. So you can talk anyhow and say anything and get away with it. We want him to understand that we know what is going on. When you impose a 1.75 levy on money that is in my pocket, because you are no more attractive to the market, you cannot go and borrow anymore. So you want that bill passed so you can collateralize it, like you've done with Get Fund, like you've done with National Health. Everything has been collateralized in this country. Go and take money up front so that our children will be saddled with those debts. That is not going to happen. In the bill that Ken Oforiatta presented to Parliament, he tells us that there are some 18 million Ghanaians that should be paying taxes. Out of that, only 4.8 are captured. That is not our responsibility. I don't have a responsibility to make sure that those 18 people pay tax. That is your responsibility. You and your Commissioner General at GRA to make sure that whoever these 18 million people are, they pay what is due to the state. And because you cannot do that, and to borrow my little sister's word, you are so incompetent, you cannot ensure that these 18 million people that you have identified as taxpayers are not paying. You and I, who are already part of the 4.8, must pay extra. Then you tell me that is widening the tax net. Please, we all did a little bit of economics. There's a difference between widening the tax net and deepening the tax net. The 4.8 of us have to keep paying because you can't find the other 14 million people. You don't have what it takes. You don't have what to do to make sure that those other people pay the taxes. Suddenly, now you are telling us that there are over 30 million of us, and you are only taking 1.75. That will give us 7 billion. And if you divide that by 30 billion, we just pay 300 a year. You have forgotten that 30 million people include the 14.4 that you can't find to pay tax. The 4.8 million of us already paying are part of the 30 million people that you are talking about. You haven't done a disaggregation of the population of this country. That out of the 30 million that you are talking about, how many of them are in employable jobs that they need to be taxed? Taxes are applied on income. They are applied on income. They are not applied on capital.
Income must be taxed.
And exactly. So when you tell me that, because my daughter is 18 years old, she's an adult, yes, but she's a student. She's a first-year student in University of Ghana. So I sent her 500 cedis for her weekly upkeep. She decides to go and do her hair, and she's paying by Momo 150 Ghana cedis. Because she's engaged in that transaction, she has to pay 1.7 tax on the 50 cedis above the threshold. What work did she do? She only has disposable income that I have already paid tax on my income. So now let me tell you something happened. On 30th December, I went to my constituency, but I needed to get back to Accra for an event on the 31st. Unfortunately, I missed the flight in Kumasi, so I had to stay the night in Kumasi. I went to Golden Tulip and got a room. Decided to have dinner. When I finished, said dinner buffet is 150 Ghana cedis. So I decided to test the viability or otherwise of 1.75. So I went to pay, And I said, I'm paying by Momo. Do you accept Momo? And she said, yes. So I paid 150. Then I took the receipt. I saw National Health, VAT, everything captured to give me the 150. So I asked, and then there was a 2 cedis charge because Guarantee Bank, I mean, they used a bank terminal, so the service charge. So I asked the teller, I said, so if E-levy was in force, would I then pay 1.75 on the 50 cedis because 150 is clearly above the 100 cedis threshold? And she said yes. I said, so how many taxes would I have paid because I ate one dinner? In any case, this money that I'm using is already taxed. So what do I do next time? If Ken Oforiatta and his group of MPs on the other side manage to pass E-levy somehow, I keep my money in my wallet. Cash. So I go to Tulip, I count up 150, I pay, I leave. No wahala. And that is what we will do. Because I cannot pay and keep paying and keep paying. When Ken Oforiatta goes to address town hall meeting, where have you ever seen? In governance, all of us, to quote Uncle Chris, we've all been around for some time. We've seen governance play out. Where in this world do you introduce a policy and now go and do a sensitization? The bill is still sitting in Parliament. It has not been withdrawn. Nothing has been said. They come today, they said they will withdraw. As at yesterday, they said it will be amended. As at yesterday, now that bill is not going to be withdrawn anymore. It's going to be amended. And this is when the finance minister usurps the work of the finance committee of Parliament. And he's going around and addressing town hall meetings. And you know what he's doing at the town hall meetings? It's so pathetic. And it just tells you how desperate the situation is. The finance minister is not telling his life story about how he was born out of wedlock and was swimming in the Birim River. What, for God's sake, has that got to do with the people of Tamale? The people of Tamale are talking about bread and butter issues. The issue of the E-levy is not an emotive thing. You cannot go and play on people's emotions. Show us the data. Tell us what why we have to pay. You cannot justify. So you go and you want to play on people's emotions, talking about peripheral and banal issues. And I listened to him and I was shocked. And again, this is the same taxpayer paying for that trip to Tamale, only to go and be told your life history of how you were born. How does that relate to E-levy? And whether we can pay or not? And that brings me to the issue of the demonstration, Senna. I think that probably the demonstration should have been called Yentuminchia demonstration and not Yenchia. Because Yenchia suggests that, well, if we want to, we can, but we will not. In this case, we cannot. We just cannot pay. Where is the money? We cannot pay. I cannot send 1,000 Ghana cedis to my daughter in school, and at every point along the way, if she sends 500 to her little brother, 1.75. I already suffer 1.75. Then imagine how much that travels. Where is the money? How do we pay? And so in my own way, I call the demonstration, demonstration. Ken Oforiatta and his government must understand that we cannot pay. If we could pay, maybe we'll begin to talk. But we cannot. Ghanaians, where Ghanaians sit today, that people cannot pay for water. 2 days ago, I heard Ghana Water Company rationing water in this country. Caller upon caller was calling, including areas like Abelempe, talking about how they haven't seen water flow through their pipelines, and they're having to buy tanker water, and how expensive that is. This is the Ghana we have today. And this is the Ghana you are coming to tell us at every 10 that I spend more than 100 Ghana cedis, I must pay a 1.75 levy on it. But that is not all, Senna. You see, they try to be a little bit disingenuous even with the bill. What we pay at the end of the day, cumulatively, is not 1.75. It's 3.75. When I send 100 cedis to my son, the MTN, the Momo platform, takes 1 Ghana cedi. That's the transaction. If he goes to take it from the agent, when you do, they call it money out, cash out, sorry, you pay 1 cedi. Then in addition to that, you pay 1.75. How does that all come up to 3.75 cedis? That is how much levy we are going to be saddled with if this e-levy passes. And the Ghanaian people must be told the truth. You cannot say that when I get paid as a member of parliament and you've deducted taxes as source, when I want to use that money, when I want my bankers to move cash from my bank account onto my MTN one, there's a charge by the bank because the bank is providing a service. So it is fair. When I have to use it, I have to pay tax to government. For what service? For what service did government perform that I have to pay 1.75 to them every time I embark on a transaction that exceeds 100 Ghana cedis? We had, very sad, for me, in everything that happened with the e-levy, my saddest moment was when I heard my colleague, the Honorable Minister for Communication, Honorable Eslomusu, say that when you have 100 cedis in Ghana, you are rich. The equivalent of 100 cedis in the UK, that maybe she was busy referring us to, is about £8. People in the UK who earn £8 are not rich. People in Ghana who earn £100 cedis cannot, under any circumstance, be classified as rich people. These days, look at the cost. Have you heard, Senna, that these days people go to the gas station with their cylinders from home, buy LPG gas, and now they are not filling the cylinders. They are going, oh, please give me 20 cedis. Today I'm buying 10. This is where we are in Ghana. Because this person probably has 100 cedis. So he will go and buy gas 10 cedis, buy Kobe 5 cedis, buy Kontombre, and go and make it. And then you describe such a person as rich. This is how unfortunate the matter got to me. So now you followed the debates. You followed the happenings in Parliament. You heard the false news that was put out there, blaming the Speaker of Parliament for their inability to pass the bill, blaming minority members. The wheel of justice, they said, grinds slowly. Eventually, they had to speak the truth. Their own MPs, Honorable Kennedy Japan, Honorable New Joabe, Befi, they said it had nothing to do with the Speaker. It has nothing, zero, to do with the Speaker of Parliament. It had nothing to do with the minority MPs. It had everything to do with their own caucus. They are members that they cannot control. They don't have control over. Refuse to come to the chamber. They don't come to Parliament. You never see them in Parliament. That is what the situation is. It has nothing to do with the Honorable Albambabe. And yet, what didn't we hear them say? They said all sorts of things. And as Uncle Kwesi and my brother said, no one arrested anybody. Nobody arrested anybody for all the lies they told on the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament. We in the minority have made our stance very clear. 137 of us, we are voting no. That e-levy, in whatever form, whatever shape, whether it is withdrawn, whether it's amended, whether it is, we are not voting.
Okay.
So they should just get on with it and leave other people alone. You go for, look at the scenario I painted to you.
I have to move on because time
But I
is
need to
not
talk
my friend.
about the majority leader and his birthday party and his e-cake.
Okay.
If that was not insulting to the people of Ghana, what else was? This is a government that is going around and telling us that, oh, we are in hard times, you know, things are difficult. If you don't do 1.75, nothing will happen. Now they say, why did Uncle Kwesi said it's equivalent to Akuba? They described it as such. They said it is a panacea to everything in this country. We don't have that yet. But you saw the party. You saw the video. And how many Ghanaians can hold that party for themselves? And then to add salt to injury. You design a cake, E-levy, as if to tell us that more can cry. We are in Parliament. At least we can tell them that the 137, we don't care whether they are cutting E-levy cake or not. We are voting no against the bill.
Thank you.
They told lies. They started by lying that the minority brought the cake. Honorable Chairman Sabunsu himself now came and said no, it has nothing to do with the minority. His business friend, a friend of his who is into business, maybe has made so much money in this system because, I mean, we all know what's happening. It's only MPP businessmen who are functioning in this country today. So he could afford to present E-levy cake to the honorable majority leader in Parliament. It had absolutely nothing to do with the 137 NDC MPs in the minority group. So, Yentia demonstration came off, very successful. The people of Ghana have told the government where they stand with that levy. They don't have the means to pay, they cannot pay, and so government should do what is right, what is sensible to the people, and simply withdraw that bill so we can have some peace in this country.
Thank you very much, Hadia. Let me jump immediately to Solomon.
Sir, thank you very much. Moody's is a rating institution, and they do so primarily for their investors. I mean, they give indications to the various investors that wants to invest in bonds as to how much they should price bonds. So if the country Ghana was not interested in issuing bonds, ratings by these institutions would not directly affect us. But it has become imperative because as a country, our primary focus or means of mobilizing revenue is always quick to go and borrow. And that is why today we are having to talk about Moody, and that it has nothing to do with the country. If we were not going to the international market through bonds to say borrow, why would I care about what Moody say about our country? What the government has had a problem with is the reason for their downgrading. And that if you tell the whole world that you are downgrading Ghana because we borrowed, especially during COVID, that we borrowed more than necessary, then people will have the cause to question the basis of downgrade. Because it is not rocket science that during this period, countries that hitherto we all thought were self-sufficient borrowed during the period. If you look at the debt to GDP ratio of the US, it's hovering around 133. Go to Japan, 258. Go to the UK, 103. And in all these, Ghana's debt to GDP ratio is less than that. And you have not, come to the realization that you have to go and downgrade them, but rather you move to Ghana and downgrade us. So what is the motive? So for me, if the country will look within, and that comes to the issue of how, as a country, we mobilize revenue. Many a times, we always complain, government is borrowing. Now government says, yes, I've listened to the cry of the people. I want to, as it were, reduce the rate at which I borrow. I don't want to be issuing bonds here and there, but I want the people who are the true owners of the country to also contribute to the development of the country. There we have a problem as well. The very people we want to target to make contributions by way of, say, E-levy, then the opposition comes in and says, no, don't pay. The same opposition that is saying, do not borrow, you are borrowing. Government being a listening government, listening to them and say, okay, well, we are putting the brakes on borrowing and then taking the money from the citizens too. They are on the street saying, no, do not pay. So in effect, the opposition is saying, government business will not go on. Now my sister was saying, how did we get here? Indeed, how did we get here has a checkered history. And that one, we can trace it to what was said when we went to Senchi. What were the issues? The very issues they are raising today, some worse, were discussed in 2014. High budget deficit, high inflation, high interest rate, high cost of living. All these things were the issues that were prevalent in 2014. That the then John Mahama himself, after the Senchi economic dialogue came out, that he was not a wicked person to be, as it were, imposing taxes on innocent citizens. What was he trying to imply then? He realized that times were very hard, but he needed to do what was needful. And if you remember, that was how come we started introducing 1% special import levy, 17% on airline tickets, 17.5% on selected imported medicines, including 5% on real estate sales, because he needed to solve a particular problem. Budgets are presented to deal with specific year problems. In this year, the very budget that is in Parliament has indicated to the whole world that there is a shortfall or a budget deficit of 41 billion that has to be financed. So you have two options. Either you finance that budget deficit by going back into the international market to borrow, or you take the money from the citizens. Don't forget, whatever you go onto the international market to also borrow would still have to be financed by revenues that you generate by way of taxes from the locals. But that one is coming with an interest rate. So if you were to separate our principal from the interest that we pay on some of these bonds that you issue, you will realize that the best way is to try and get a lot of people to contribute towards the tax bracket. My sister was saying about 4 million. The budget itself says 2.4 million Ghanaians rather pay direct taxes. It means few people are paying taxes to support all of us. Obviously, we all pay indirect taxes, but indirect taxes, as and when you consume a particular good, then you are taxed. So it is for all of us. I have not heard the NDC at least say that taxation is not good. I have not, because if it was not good, we wouldn't have been burdened to the extent that Kayaye were taxed in this country. We were in this country. We didn't say yentumintua as he was putting it. But because as a political party, opposition party that was responsible enough, we realized that look, the country needed to move on. And so we needed to give the president and the ruling party all the necessary assistance to be able to implement his policies. But if the same party today is saying that, well, they came in and introduced more taxes and we accepted, but today the party, the ruling party, must not be allowed, then they are not being fair. But it is important that as they have sat here to say that there is tomorrow, then there is always tomorrow. In the same way they are saying that there is tomorrow, that things could change, we are also telling them there is tomorrow. We should not make the issue of paying tax a political football. It has to be explained to every citizen in this country that paying taxes is part of your civic responsibility. As we speak, like she rightly said, when you do a Momo transaction, you are charged. They call it service charge. I call it E-levy. Because at the end of the day, the telcos take 1% from us. And I'm here to hear the opposition parties complain or demonstrate because of that singular act by the telcos. Now, government says 2022, we need money to undertake certain developments. You have heard it, countless number. People complaining about the bad roads in their various localities, hospitals here and there. Then government say, well, if that is the case, let each and every one try and contribute to it. Why would we not rather agree with government in case we have other options to do with, say, the level that we are talking about, whether or not it's high, let us come to this way. We are not getting that one. All that we are getting is that we shouldn't pay. We know very well, the very budget that is in Parliament, that in 2020, there was a revenue shortfall of 11.93 billion. We could not, as it were, collect 11.93 billion. However, we were able to spend in excess of 14 billion because we were made to sleep. Not through the fault of anybody. First, but yeah, we have been confronted with COVID. And so people had to stay in their rooms whilst being paid. Government workers were not working, but they were being paid. Nobody was sacked. And this came at a cost. People had to be fed daily meals. This came at a cost. People had to enjoy free water. It came at a cost. And at the end of the day, when we all create this hole, it is for the same people that has to plug the hole. And so we should not, as I'm very surprised that a party like the NDC that knows, that has been in government before, that has run this country before, that has appealed to the conscience of the Ghanaian to be paying taxes, to then turn around and say paying taxes is not good. In any case, people are not even, as it were, agreeing to their position. People believe that they are not being truthful to the Ghanaian. Why am I saying that? The Ghanaian remembers that in 2008, when the communication service tax was taken to Parliament, the Ghanaian says they remember vividly what the NDC said, to the extent that as though when they got the opportunity to come and rule this country, they will scrap it immediately. Communication service antenna was introduced in 2008. We are in 2022. The question you ask yourself is whether or not the communication tax was, as it were, withdrawn by the NDC. The answer is an emphatic no. And that is why people do not trust their position on this one. And that is a usual political gimmick. Let us go and, as it were, create inflamed passions. Let the people believe that when we come, we are not interested in, as it were, introducing taxes so that the people give us their mandate only to come and tell them that we did not know what was really wrong, what the whole that was there. Forgive us. Again, in 2008, when they were in opposition, they told the whole world that when they came to power, when they had the opportunity of coming to governance, fuel prices would be reduced. Fuel prices would be reduced. Indeed, when they came to power in January or February, they were able to reduce it by 3%. And guess what? 2-3 months later, they increased fuel by 8%. Buy 3, get 8 free. That was what they did. And so politics of insincerity must not be encouraged. The mere fact that you are looking out to rule does not mean you score an own goal before you even get there. And only God knows whether they will even get there. Let us be mindful with what we do today. Because at the end of the day, it is a country that we are building. We are not building individuals' legacy. We are building a country's legacy that must withstand the test of time. If we are able to do so, that is why you and I will be able to say, yes, indeed we have a country. By this act of encouraging, look, when he was talking about the Minister of Finance going out there to make sure that the 18 million people that has to be taxed are brought into the tax bracket. When we started the NIE, the recent one, their own party kicked against it. That people must not. When indeed we were trying, all that we have been seeking to do since President Kufuor brought this NIA thing, is to try and capture most Ghanaians into a database so that the economy gradually will be formalized. And by extension, people will make contributions into the tax bracket. They were kicking against it. Now, when you go to the various NIA offices, people are queuing. Why is this so? Because of policy, change of policy. Now, if you don't have the NIA card, from July, you will be unable to do financial transactions. When good policies are coming, let us support good policies. Let us kick against policies that we feel will destroy the country. On this occasion, we have no other option than to call on the people of this country to contribute. Either how are you going to finance your deficit? When you go into the international market to go and borrow, with this rating from Moody's, it is giving the investors the indication that, look, your monies are not likely to be retrieved should you invest. And basic principle of economics or accounting, the higher the yield, the higher the risk. So if I'm going to give you this, if in the past I was pricing my bond at 8%, now you are not going to get that because the investor feels he may lose the money. So I would rather ask you to do it 13%. It all comes at a cost. It all comes at a cost. And so the back and forth with it is what is making, as it were, management of the economy very difficult. If you were to pause a bit and look at the figures in reality, we will do ourselves a great service. Let us not make it a political issue. I was very surprised. I was very surprised that she said, as for the 137 NDC MPs, we don't have NDC MPs. And I always had a problem with someone calling himself NDC MP, MPP, MP. The moment you enter the floor of parliament, you are representing Ghanaians. I'm not too sure in her constituency, it is only the NDC members that are available. In any case, I'm not too sure. As she's in parliament, she's only representing the interest of the NDC in her constituency. What survey has she done in her constituency to solicit for views, to even know that the constituents prefer to pay the tax? I will also not be surprised if you were to open your phone lines today. Said, I believe between you and I, who wants to pay tax? Do you want to pay tax? Nobody wants to pay tax. So if you came to tell me that surveys suggest that Ghanaians do not want to pay tax, that is a non-starter because nobody wants to do it. And that is what governments are put in place to make sure the right thing is done. And the right thing is that you and I have to contribute. Probably what the people must go a step further to be questioning government is, what kind of use do you put our taxes to? As to whether our taxes are expended in a way and manner it ought to. If people are raising such legitimate concerns, I have no issues. But to deliberately tell people that, look, that is not good. And it will go a long way to retrogress the developmental needs of this country, which will come back to hunters. To this, I submit.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Just a few messages. One, Sapi Agbo says it's crystal clear that under President Akufo-Addo, an openly and terrifying sense of insecurity and an atmosphere of state brutality to instill fear into the populace has become more apparent. It's only under this administration that speech has been criminalized. Okay, this Micah Flo is someone who works in taxation. He says you need education in taxation. It is not the responsibility of Ghanaians to pay wrong taxes. There is nowhere in the world where we tax capital, investment, and savings. Let him show me one country in the world that does that. That's coming from Micah Aflu, who is a tax expert, actually. There's one from Kofi Adole said, this morning, a girl who is suffering a pre-Valentine jail from the boyfriend was told she should pay E-levy to solve her relationship problems. There are many shocking retorts like this to justify this planned theft from our wallets. The bottom line is that we have a people in government who do not care about the citizen on the other end of their ad hoc decisions. If arresting you at night or in church for the flimsiest reasons pleases their pampered egos, they will do it. Whether it is illegal, improper or not, they are typically oppressors in dark skin. We have a duty to resist them. That's coming from Kofi Adole. Would
I just love something patriotism. Patriotism, misplaced patriotism that has arrived at a time it should never arrive. Unfortunately, his patriotism doesn't go to the reason why Ghanaians are refusing to pay the E-levy. My brother, Ghanaians are asking you what you have done with all the taxes they have paid. And they are saying they won't pay anymore. Because Ghanaians see that when this country is in a crisis, our president is always up in the air. We are told that he needs to bath in the air. Nobody has told us our president is incontinent, but he tells us he needs to bath. So they rent a jet that costs us 5 million cedis every 10 days so that he can bath whilst in the air and enjoy the trappings and the luxuries of his office. When he is on the ground, he rides in a 2-tone bulletproof Maybach. And of course, being in a presidential convoy is not one, it's 3. That is what they use our taxes for. When he is heading to the interior of the country, he rides in a 50-car convoy made of bulletproof LX 570s. That is what he uses our taxes for. At the time when he tells us that we should tighten our belt, he doesn't wear any belt at all. He wears joggers, right? And appropriates 3.25 billion cedis of those taxes to the presidency so that he can squander it. When they told us that times were hard, and so they needed to us to tighten our belt, and they needed a lean and mean government, they increased the appropriations that they take from central government to the Flagstaff House from 2.5 billion to 3.25 billion. Right? That is some serious tightening of the belt, isn't it? That's serious. That's tightening. He has tightened his belt so hard that he can't breathe. Right? Since President Mahama was in power, you have increased the amount of money that goes to the office of the president by 1,000%. 1,000, read my lips. And you are telling us that we should pay you more taxes. You want to collect E-levy from us. You want to expropriate our bank accounts. You want to place what do you call it? A levy on our bank accounts. Money that we've already paid taxes on, so that the finance minister and his deputy can go and collateralize it and make money off our taxes. Yet again. Right? And when they make that money, have they paid taxes on it? The commissions that they collect, which has been estimated at over $200 million to date by those who know. Me, I'm not an expert in the finance field. Have they paid taxes on them? Why are they asking us to pay more taxes? It is the reason why Ghanaians are saying that it is enough. Because we would have willingly been paying taxes if we had seen that the president had left the LXDIO alone and was flying commercial, like he used to fly before he became president. He didn't change his name. We wanted to see that the president, instead of 50-car convoys, he has reduced his convoy to a convoy of 2. With 1 Vespa in front, 1 Vespa behind. That would have been ready to pay. You see, you people are underestimating Ghanaians. You claim that when you came to power, oh, there were nuisance taxes, so you modified taxes on 17 different items. You lie to Ghanaians that you have taken taxes off 17, which is not true. You just modify the taxes. But you have rather imposed 23 different taxes. You have collateralized every single statutory fund in this country. Debt fund, you have collateralized it. Why are you shaking your head? They say you don't know. You have collateralized debt fund. You have collateralized ESLA. The ESLA for which you invented the term nuisance tax. You have collateralized it. ESLA was supposed to have sunsetted this year. because you're supposed to pay legacy tax. And you have collateralized it, so we have it till 2035. Right? So our children and our children's children, as far as his grandchildren, are going to have to pay some of those taxes. And you want us to pay more? Then the impudence of coming to tell us that E-levy will solve everything. E-levy abeye kakedru. Kakedru. Ya kakedi ni mo remu. Ya ne ba sum fiti. Ekroni bewu. Kakedru. If you na swallow goat head self. Kakedru. Kakedru esayari bia. Esakwata, esakokrap, esayari bia. You people think we are stupid. How many of you have guaranteed us that you will not take the E-levy and go and collateralize it? We should give you money so that as a Dubai in Intolerance can make yet more money. Why you think we are stupid? The NDC has told Ghanaians, and the General Secretary said it yesterday, and I'm repeating it here, that in the unlikely event that that E-levy passes, an NDC government will repeal that devil tax immediately. It is a devil tax. It's not just a killer tax, a yabonsam talk. We don't want it. Ghanaians have said they don't want it. Ghanaians are asking for an honest account of the monies they give politicians. Which of that don't you understand? Do you remember? I will protect the public purse. Are you protecting the public purse? Do you remember? The E-levy is don't tax E-levy. Taxing E-levy is unthinkable. That was on Joy FM. That was Alhaji Mahmoud Baumia. And ever since E-levy came up, you realize that now he's become digital. It's been very difficult to find Baumia. He cannot be found except in the digital world. We can't find Samira either. Digital world. That is where he, just a couple of days ago, he told an outright lie that the ICAO, International Civil Aviation Organization, have come to refute that if you take Ghana card, you can travel with Ghana card. And I remember a very wise old lady that is very political asked me, so if you carry your Ghana card and you are going to the United States, where would the customs people find your visa? Where would they find your visa? Your Ghana card, where would they put your visa? I mean, what kind of joke do you people think we are? And when Ghanaians say they won't pay, then the finance minister goes and stands in public and gives us a very embarrassing account of his birth circumstances. And you people are all sitting there, when anything have noticed, when anything happens in the country, the president finds somewhere to go. So right now on his itinerary, he is in France, Germany, Guyana, France, UK, France, all on the LX, so that he can avoid responsibility. Right? This is the kind of government that was supposed to change our circumstances. You think it's council comedy? You think it's a council comedy? I don't know, 250 billion CDs. Yesterday, the bonds that the Ghana government put out yesterday, go and find out the subscription. Master, it is not just Moody's that has lost confidence in you. Ghanaians have lost confidence in you. So instead of going to AU to go and cry baby there that we need a Pan-African ratings, do we have Pan-African money? If we had Pan-African money, why did you go on the international credit agency to go and borrow money? The people are saying you are untrustworthy. The people are saying that when you make money, you spend it like a bull in a China shop. Most say it, you want us to give you more taxes so that Samira can get a new makeup bag, or what? You want us to give you more taxes so that whatever you want to do, you can do? take everybody and their mother to national security and pay them with our taxes? Haji Afati is a national security operative who is being paid. What is wrong with you people?
Yeah, I have 5 minutes, so
let me round up by saying that, my brother, and in the unlikely event that you arrest all our MPs and go and put them in jail, when we win the election, we can repeal it. And then I say me today, if E-levy passes today, and I will not be the only person. Look, understand that Momo is a float. Momo is with the banks. And let me give you a caution. If you make Ghanaians go and collect all that their money they have on Momo, it will in essence be a run on the banks. So you see what will happen today. Nothing has happened. Do you know what the dollar rate is? It's 7 cedis. So that artificial interest rate that you are keeping, just to tell the world that interest rates are low, you know they are artificial. The way you are going, you will break the 8 in 2 weeks. 8, you will break it in 2 weeks. Me, why is it my wish? Master, I'm a Ghanaian. Why is it my wish that my savings will be depleted? In 2 weeks, the cedi has gone from 6 cedis and 25 pesos to 7 cedis. You do the calculation. So what is the real value of your savings today? It is the bad management, the mismanagement, the almost criminal negligence that you people have used to manage this economy. That is what has put us where we are.
Mr. Pratt.
Well, there isn't enough time. Time is, so I like just to make some very brief remarks. The turnout at the last demonstration against the E-levy is a clear message. And those who have eyes to see, let them see the message. Those who have ears to listen, let them listen to that message. Around the Dabraka market, I saw the video of the demonstration around the Dabraka market. And what I saw was a mosaic of pans. That's a huge message. I'm sure you all saw what I saw. The mosaic of pans. It's a huge message. And we read the meaning message. I've been involved in organizing demonstrations over a long period of time. This is one demonstration that sends a very clear message. I spoke to people who covered the demonstration. They told me the significant thing about this demonstration is that people were not bussed to take part. This was a spontaneous demonstration, and the message is loud and clear. As for and I find it very difficult to call him the majority leader. Because he's not majority leader. You have a hung parliament. How do you have a majority leader in a hung parliament? But for whatever reason, this is what Alban Bagwin has posed upon us, and we have come to accept it. So the majority leader's birthday party. Yes, he says that he did not order the E-levy cake. He says that the E-levy cake. The truth is that the symbol is powerful. Why? It's so powerful. And I don't know how this recklessness can be excused. I'll finish.
Thank you, Mr. Pratt. Just okay, one or two messages. This one is from Babs. Has more. Thank you. Same point that is. Let me end by really a significant day in the history of this country. Today was the day when Dr. Kwankwa was released from prison, and you know how that important. We are getting there. I'm to be celebrating the Independence Day of this country, so it's important. Today, February 12, 1951. I'm even jumping several steps. So, but today, February 12, 1951, he was released from prison. Take note. And I'd like to say a happy birthday to Honorable Francis Xavier, so who I find out it was his birthday today. He was actually born on 1976, February 12th. And so Ambassador Chris Podo was also born today. Alhaji Collins Dauda, who is also a member of Parliament, was also born today. And also Brigadier Joseph Nunu Mensah, retired, was born today in 1939. A happy birthday to all of you. And a happy birthday to Julie Belinda Obre. A happy birthday to you. And thank you very much for making to join us this morning. It's always a pleasure knowing that you are listening to us and watching us. Big thank you to affiliate radio stations across the country. I can't go to everyone. Big thank you. And a thank you to Volta One TV. We're live on Pan-African Television, was mother of all talk shows, Alhaji and Alhaji. A big thank you to my panel today, Mr. Pratt. When I came here, I was smiling and laughing because I saw the Akoban video. It was quite interesting watching him. Always a pleasure seeing him. Especially on days when there are issues that have to do with free speech. It's always wonderful to listen to him talk about the issue of the struggle he's been engaged in. And it looks like that struggle never ends. He has to constantly be engaged in that struggle for free speech. Mr. Pratt is the General Secretary of the Socialist Movement of Ghana. And a big thank you to Kojo Chungwafo. Wonderful to see him for the first time this year. And Haja Zue Mohammed Ibrima. Thank you. Member of Parliament for Salaga South. And I enjoyed your history. I enjoyed actually your lecture. I felt like I was in the communications classroom for a moment there. When we were talking about the issue, some theories, yeah, right, for a moment there. Okay. A big thing, and wonderful to have Solomon also join us. He's at the NP's communication team. I hope we get to see you some more. My name is Simon. A big thank you to my production crew, Tijani. A big thank you to Ruben for providing these facts that I just shared with you. We are done for the day. Enjoy it of the day, the weekend, the fruitful week. We are back same time next week.
To lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer and he has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer and he has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer and he has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer and
Hello, what are you doing Tuesday to Friday, 7:30 to 9 o'clock p.m. every day? You should be watching The Couch. I'll tell you why. On Tuesdays, we talk social issues, lifestyle, health, all those everyday issues that affect us in the big ways. Late Wednesdays are for book reviews. Thursdays are for the hard talk, those social, economic, policy-oriented, political questions that demand for the tough questions to be asked. And personality profiling Fridays